Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for attending. Today, this is an Excavation Safety Alliance member special event. We're really lucky to have Perry Silvey here to do his presentation on Think Inside the Box. If you have questions throughout, we will be doing Q&A at the end. If it is a pressing question that's timing related, you can sure raise your hand or put something in the chat. That's the best thing to do, is put something in the chat and we'll try and get to you. And one quick note at the end, there will be a survey that we'd love to have you fill out so we can keep trying to make these events better and better. But with that, I will turn it over to Perry and take it away. Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, I'm excited to be able to share some information with you guys about what we've been doing here. So about 5 years ago, we started a task force. So think inside the box is the message that we came up with. So we'll go into that here in a little bit. Let me introduce myself. My name is Perry Silvey. I'm with BT Construction, and we also have a trenchless division, B Trenchless, and been with the company for about 5 years and been in construction over 20. So I started as a laborer, worked my way up the ranks. I was able to do some estimating, management, things of that nature, and then got into safety in 2012. So been really excited to be able to be a part of this organization and be able to share some information for you guys. So we will get started here with the presentation. ESA's been able to help get me in the door here to help you guys understand a little about what we do. So we'll jump right in. So our presentation today, we're going to introduce you to TEST, the Trenching and Excavation Safety Task Force, and we'll talk about the what, why, who, when, and where. Just really try to dive into some of this to help you understand what our group is about and really our mission and some of the things that we're doing to raise awareness for trench safety. How will you help reach those that need to be reached? That's a question that really hopefully by the end of this that you will be able to see some things that you can do that you can help those that really are maybe making decisions that are unsafe, and hopefully you can help those guys be able to make the right decisions in trench safety. And then we'll introduce the new merger that we have and the trench and excavation safety best practices. So we'll share some things on what we've learned over the years and hopefully some takeaways that each of you can bring back to your organization on some things that maybe, you know, are important to your business and some things that could help you. So let's dive into our presentation here. So what is TEST? Again, Trenching and Excavation Safety Task Force. What we do, we started to bring more awareness to trenching and excavation safety and really to prevent injuries and fatalities. So that's really what we're about. And we just want to make sure that we're doing everything we can in our power to do that. And we have a mission. We came up with this shortly after we started our task force in 2019, and it's to create industry awareness and drive insight into trenching and excavation safety. And we want to collaborate without organizational or geographic boundaries in an effort to improve day-to-day safety for field workers. And since the beginning of our task force, we have the hashtag Think Inside the Box. So it's our concept here that we'll get into and explain what that means. You'll notice a picture on the screen there, and that's a picture of a trench collapse that occurred in 2019. And this is actually taken by the firefighters' drone to show what this site looked like from above while they're trying to rescue these people that were buried in this trench. So why was it started? It was exactly from that event that occurred in Windsor, Colorado. Tuesday, April 16th, 2019. There was a trench collapse where two individuals, 26-year-old Christopher Ramirez out of Boulder, Colorado, and 41-year-old Jorge Valadez out of Denver. They were both buried in a 15-foot deep trench. The story that really got us very passionate about this subject is that these two workers were buried in the 15-foot deep trench, and there was a trench box on site that they chose not to use. And then the firefighters got on scene. They were able to quickly get a PVC pipe down to one of them, and he was able to communicate with the firefighters for a couple hours after that collapse had occurred. And then the firefighters got in touch with that individual's significant other, and is able to speak with her before he passed away. Unfortunately, they weren't able to communicate with the other victim. He had passed away fairly quickly after the collapse. But the part of this story that just really hits us really deep is just the fact that they were able to communicate with him, and he was able to communicate with his wife before he passed away. And then shortly after this event, I believe it was about a month or two later, she actually had their baby. And so she had to have that baby, and that baby had to live the life without his father. So that story just really hit deep for us, and we wanted to try to do something. So Tuesday, April 23rd, so exactly a week later, we have in local Colorado area, there's an AGC, Associated General Contractors of Colorado, and the Safety Council meets once a month. And there was about 60 safety professionals in the room, and this event had come up during that meeting. And I stood up in that meeting and I said, guys, we got to do something. I said, I don't know what, but we got to do something, because this kind of event cannot continue. This kind of event cannot repeat. So who's with me, right? I put it out to the group. Who's with me? Who's going to stand up with me and try to figure out a way to prevent these trench collapses? And there was quite a few volunteers that stood up that day. And we met right after this council meeting. We met next door, and we started meeting as a task force, and we tried to come up with some solutions to the problem. And we'll get to that here in a little bit on some of the things that we've been doing. But let me just give you a video here of a story that comes from the firefighters who were out there that day.
This was a once-in-a-career type incident.
The call that cleared the garage on Tuesday.
It was empty, yeah.
Sent everyone, including Chief Chris Kazian,
It was a long day.
to a home construction site on Camberley Drive.
All that dirt is all dirt that caved in.
2 workers in a trench were buried in about 8 tons of dirt.
Very heavy, very compacted when it all collapsed.
Fire crews don't think anything was used to shore up the trench walls.
On arrival, we did not see a trench box in place.
They used heavy equipment and eventually shovels to dig.
Every time we got a bucket or two of dirt out, more dirt would fall in on them.
They knew at least one worker was still alive.
For whatever reason, in this case, he was able to breathe for hours.
Able to talk, too, first through PVC pipe and then through a microphone to family gathered at the scene.
Our crews felt that it was important for this family and for him to have an opportunity to speak.
A chance to say goodbye.
As responders, we were concerned that we might have a poor outcome, but we wanted to make sure that he and they got a chance to communicate.
It'd be nearly 12 hours before crews pulled the men's bodies from the dirt.
It's very challenging for all of the responders, mentally and physically.
The kind of call no chief wants to repeat.
Our thoughts are with the families. It's definitely a tough time, and didn't have the outcome that we were looking for, and we worked very hard to have a different outcome.
In Windsor, Noel Brennan, 9 News.
Last year, OSHA announced it was making it a priority to reduce trenching and excavation accidents. This comes after 23 workers were killed nationally in 2016, another 32 in 2017 and 2018.
So a pretty heartbreaking story there, and again, that's really what motivates us, is stories like that. That one really kicked us off and really got us started, because again, this is unacceptable. There's safety measures that we can do, sloping, shielding, shoring. There's methods that work, and really that's what we started talking about initially when we got together as this group, is what can we do? What kind of message can we try to get out to the public and to these workers who are entering in these trenches, and how can we help them to make sure that they're going to make the right decision. And that's been the challenge since day one. Since they had a trench box on site and they chose not to use it, it comes down to that choice. It comes down to those guys making the right choices. And why did they choose to make the wrong choice? And I think that there's definitely a lot that plays into that too. Was the trench not the right size? Who knows what the main reasons were, but they chose not to do it right. And that's the part that really has frustrated us, and it's something that we're trying to figure out how to change that behavior. So right out of the gate, we started this message, this think inside the box message. And this actually came from the area director in the Inglewood office in the South Denver area. And he actually had a little sticker that he had in his office, and it didn't have a trench box on it. It just had the words "think inside the box," just a square sticker with those words on it. And he brought that to our group, to our task force, and we all kind of looked at that like, yeah, that actually has a ring to it. And it's something that we want to try to figure out how we can make this happen. So fairly soon after this meeting, we took that message and we put it on a trench box. And that box is such an important concept because it protects us. It's that shield that protects us in the event of a cave-in. I mean, we could have done this with shoring, we could have done it with sloping, we could have figured out some other way to get our message across, but really this trench box is the most common method of protection, and thought would be the easiest way to communicate the importance of a trench protective measure. So it's that catchy phrase, and it's for those that need to hear it. And it's something that we thought would really get that word out and really help to communicate the importance of trench safety. And then you're probably wondering, like, why is it this rust color? Well, rust is universal. When you think about trench protection, there's a lot of companies that are actually selling or renting this equipment. And so we wanted to be able to partner with them and not have some color that maybe another company wasn't excited about. But hey, they're all going to turn this color eventually. When you really look at all the colors, the reds, the blue, green, yellow, all of these colors eventually will turn to this rust color. So we thought that this could be something that could unite all of the trench protection companies, and we can start to really have a unified message that can really communicate to the masses. We really hope to see all of these companies really come together and be able to share this message in a way to where they're all helping get this across. And again, it's industry wide, right? And it's just this identifiable safety device. It's this trench box that really guys in the field, they know what that looks like. This looks identifiable. This is a GME box, and it's a standard trench box that we've all seen out in the field with the knife edge and the spreaders. And so it's something we can all identify with, and hopefully it's a message again that we can be able to take to those masses. The other thing that we really thought about with think inside the box, right? We've all heard the message think outside the box. That sounds familiar because if we're trying to come up with new ideas, if we're trying to think of new things, we think outside the box. We think of new ideas. Well, we also thought of this message as an important concept that, hey, this method of protection is an established method. We don't have to think outside the box. We don't have to think of new ways to protect employees because these methods have already been established. They work. So it's also the idea of think inside the box, like just do what works and it'll protect your employees. So that's a message that we really thought had kind of a dual purpose there, having the trench box picture, but also again having the method that works, and it's a tried and true method. So that's our message, and it's been consistent over the 5 years that we've had our task force. Also want to just really quick say that we're a bunch of volunteers. We always try to communicate this. We always try to make sure everybody understands that we're not trying to make money We're not trying to do anything that's monetary on this. This is not at all what this is about. This is a safety awareness campaign that's been started by volunteers and grown by volunteers, and we continue to take this message to the masses with volunteers. All right, so where are we? We have a website. We started this fairly soon after we got going here. This little video you're seeing is actually a little bit old. We've actually got some newer information on that page. Excuse me. But this was what's really interesting about this page is this was started by one of our partners. We don't have sponsors. We don't have anybody paying for anything. There's your partners on the list. Every company there has helped us to grow this message, and it's something that we've taken pride in, and not spent money as a task force, but we've utilized our partners to help us to grow this message. And this website's been a fantastic way we've done that. We can point people to this site because there's lots of resources on there, training resources and links to different things to just point people to this site to hopefully help them to get some important resources for their company or for themselves. We could go to all kinds of places to find trench safety resources. We go to OSHA's website. We can go to some of the vendors' websites. There's a lot of different places on Google that you can find these things. Well, we decided, let's just get a central point of contact. Let's find one place that'll basically house as much trench safety information as possible. So that's the other thing that I would encourage everybody on this call is if you have any trench safety resources and they're not on this page, please, I encourage you to send that to us. So we've got all of our social media pages, but there's also a contact us section in here. And I would encourage you to contact us through that. That actually gets sent directly to me. I'm the chairman of our group, so I'm monitoring these different emails. And if there's something that comes across that you'd like some more information on, or if you'd like to add some information to this page, please contact us and we can be able to add that to this page. And again, these companies, it's free marketing for them too. So maybe you're doing some trench safety training and you want to be added to this page, absolutely reach out to us and we will add you there. So it is something that we think is a great way to get this information out to as many people as possible. So that's exciting. We keep that going here, and we'll hopefully help save some lives here in the future. All right, where else are we? This is a big one that we're very proud of. This is really what we started initially. So we started the website, and then very soon after we started the LinkedIn page. Gosh. Picked up a cough first thing this morning. It's like the craziest timing. So linkedin.com company Excavate Safe. That's this LinkedIn page. And we've got over 14,000 followers at this point. I would encourage you, if you're not following this page, to go ahead and jump on there, because that's pretty much our central point of sharing information. Kind of all of our stuff that we do goes through this page. So if there's events that are coming up that we're doing or that we're part of. So I'd encourage you to start following that page, and you can kind of see what we're doing there. So there's a lot of people that are part of this that are a wealth of knowledge. So if there's ever questions or things that come up, you share something on that page, and surely there's people that can help. There's actually a couple people that we're really proud of that are actually helping us to monitor this page. There's actually some very experienced trench safety people that are part of this, and they've been able to share information, share some knowledge, monitor the activity going on, because there's just a lot of lot of comments and a lot of posts that are happening on this page, and it's been great to have their help in doing this, because at first I was really doing all this myself, and I had to start to reach out to our partners and the people, the other volunteers that we have, and it's been great to have the help to get this to be successful here. And then we also have a Facebook page, and so that's been getting more and more active as well. Don't have as many followers on this, but we're trying to grow this part of it. If you want to get more involved in our task force, this would be a great place to help us, because we want to see this side of it grow, because we think this is probably where our demographic is hanging out, either Facebook or Instagram. We have an Instagram page as well, and this is probably where the workers are hanging out more than LinkedIn. We started at that LinkedIn level because that's really the safety manager level, kind of that we call it the higher level, so that we could try to be able to get our message to the masses starting from the top. Well, this is probably where we want to try to start concentrating our efforts in our communications, because this is where the demographic of the workers in the field are going to be. So huge opportunity here to start getting trench safety messages to more of the workers. So if you want to get involved, again, that'd be a great place to go. Now, we do have a TikTok account, but I'll tell you, nobody in our volunteer group knows how to run it. So again, if you want to get involved there, that's another really great opportunity to try to share some things on a page that maybe more people might be viewing in the demographic we're looking to reach out to. We have a Twitter account as well. I try to monitor that. And then we're looking at possibly a YouTube account or some other social media pages. So again, this is a work in progress. It's been 5 years of work in progress, and we're going to continue to work in progress so that, again, we can try to get the mission accomplished of our task force. So another place where we are, we have a Gmail account. We started that fairly soon after we got started. We also have another Gmail account, which is not on the screen here. We have excavatesafe@gmail.com. So that's another one. We might transition our Gmail account just because this one's kind of long, and we initially wanted Think Inside the Box @gmail.com, but that one was taken. So of course, we kind of looked at our website, thinkinsidethebox.info, and we went ahead and went thinkinsidetheboxinfo@gmail.com. So we're constantly updating this and seeing where we want to go as a task force. We also have this phone number. This is a pretty cool number that actually has some meaning behind it. So if you can remember 740, trenching, excavation, safety, think inside the box, that's our phone number. So again, we were able to choose the number with the Google account, and we thought that was kind of cool to be able to do something that made sense on that messaging. And who are we? Well, we're passionate about trenching and excavation safety. I think really all of our volunteers really want to see this come to fruition. We want to see people do the right thing. We want to see these workers get into a safe excavation and do it right. So that's really who we are. And there's countless folks from across the country. We've got people from Texas and the Carolinas, and we've got Pennsylvania and Minnesota and Montana and California, all over the country. So that's been the really cool part about this, is we're able to work with a lot of different volunteers that really span the nation. And so if you're anywhere in the States, we're definitely looking for help, and we want to see your involvement in helping us with our mission. But we've also got some really cool things going on around the world. Just last week we sat on a town hall with some folks from Australia. It's so great to be a part of such a great conversation with people that are working from around the world, and seeing some of what we're doing. And we've had conversations with people from Great Britain and Australia and other places, and it's cool that we've got such collaboration, not just locally here, but worldwide. So again, that really matches up with our mission. We're not bound by any organizational geographic boundaries. We're open to having anybody and everybody help us grow this message to the ends of the earth. All right. What's new? Well, pretty cool. We have a Spanish side of our website. So that's a demographic that we'd been really trying to reach since the beginning. So we were able to adjust our logo, and then we basically mirrored everything that's on that thinkinsidethebox.info website, and we were able to put everything in Spanish. So just another important aspect of the group of people that we're trying to reach. And that's just one of the groups that we think is important to have trench safety discussions with, is the Spanish speaking demographic. So if you are Spanish speaking, or you know anybody that is Spanish speaking and you want to get more involved, this is definitely another part of our task force that could use a little bit of help, and just, again, take this message and try to get it spread to more people, the people that really need to hear the message most, right? Safety managers, people in safety positions probably don't need to hear this. We already kind of know. It's like, how do we get this message to the pipe layer and the operator and the supervisor working on the job site, putting in this pipe? We want to make sure they are going to put in this pipe safely. So really, again, we're constantly looking for volunteers. So if you're interested, please reach out. We would love to get you involved. We've got our next quarterly meeting coming up here very soon. So look for that on our LinkedIn page. You'll see that we'll be having that meeting. It's just a 1-hour meeting once a quarter, and we just kind of do some updates on what's going on. And anybody and everybody's welcome to join that and get involved, and even just listen in. Even if you just want to listen and see what we're up to, what's going on, we welcome that and want to see you guys on that call and see if there's things that maybe you guys can help with. And how else can you help? Well, here's a huge one. Download this sticker, download the logo off of our website. If you go to thinkinsidethebox.info and you scroll all the way to the bottom, there's a couple different versions of the logo. And so this would be probably the best way that we would say to help get this message to more people, and the people that need to hear it most, which are the ones that are in the field. And they're really guys that really enjoy putting stickers on their hard hats. So take that logo, use it how you'd like. We intentionally left that area inside the box open for your logo to go. That way you guys can have a little buy-in for your organization. And you can see the example that we did with the ESA logo there on the top left. And just an important way to get that message out there. The best size sticker that we've seen is a 2-inch by 2-inch square logo. So that sticks perfectly on a hard hat. You can put it on water bottles, anything like that. So it's really, we're not making money off of any of this. It's really just to get the message out to more people. So I'd encourage you to go to that website, download that logo, use it however you feel you'd like to. We encourage that. We go to, there's a company called Sticker Mule. So if you want to take a note of that, stickermule.com, and you can get a ton of stickers for very inexpensive. So I would encourage you to go there, get that logo up there, get those stickers made, and get them sent to you. Cool. So this is exciting. We started working with NUCA a little while ago, and they kind of adopted our task force. I mean, they're really helping us to grow this message in a national level. So we worked with them here not too long ago to really put some things together. We're going to continue to grow this using their resources and again, help with our reach as much as we can. But joining forces with NUCA has been a huge step for us. really get this message out there. And we're looking to merge with other companies and organizations too. So it's not really set in stone that we just stick here, but it's more about how can we utilize the resources of these organizations and start to really grow this organically. So really excited that this is occurring. We spoke here at the national level not too long ago, and just again trying to continue to grow our think inside the box message to as many people as we can. So that's really the introduction to our task force and who we are and how we got started, why we do what we do. Again, we're very passionate. We want to see this continue to grow and get this message to the people that need to hear it, so that we can prevent those fatalities. So that's where we're at there. Let's transition now. Actually, before I jump into my next section, which is our safety best practices, I want to put it out. Are there any questions in the chat or anything that anybody has? I don't know, Scott or Mike, anything that maybe has come up from
Harry, all we have so far is a comment from Jesse Torres. I'll just read it off to you. Unfortunately, workers are under pressure to finish the job quickly. This is the ongoing communication in any trench project. A large percentage of incidents are happening due to this.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And I think that's one of those root causes that we're trying to combat. So definitely want to be able to figure out how we can try to change that mindset, right? That rushing, trying to get a job done too fast, making sure they have enough resources to do the job right. All those are things that we want to try to help those guys with. So appreciate that comment, and definitely you're really thinking right on the same lines we are. All right, let's transition into the best practices. So hopefully these are some things, again, that you guys can take away as a few ideas. Some of you might be doing these already. It might be something that is basic practice for your organization, but maybe there's a couple things in here you haven't thought of. And so again, we've been doing this a while and want to try to provide some takeaways for you guys that maybe you hadn't thought of. So their methods or techniques to produce optimal results in the area of trenching and excavation safety. So let's jump into number one here. Some companies, they just go ahead and classify all the soils that they dig as type C soil. So for those that are familiar with soil types, so we've got type A, type B, type C, and then there's that stable rock soil type. So really, as far as we're concerned, stable rock doesn't really exist in construction. Type A is very, very rare. It's going to occur in very, very small instances on what we do. Most of what we're going to dig is a type B or type C soil. Type B is probably more clay-like. It'll probably hold up vertically. Has a lot of fines in it, but it is something that should hold up fairly well, and you would dig it at a 1-to-1 slope and protect pretty straightforward there. Whereas some companies say it doesn't matter if it looks like a B or tests out like a B, we're going to just go ahead and classify everything as a C, and we're going to do the most conservative method and just take it to this type C soil type, and we're going to lay it back at that 1.5 to 1 and make sure that for every foot we dig down, we're going to make sure that we have it laid back a 1.5 foot away. So if it's a 10-foot deep excavation, we're going to make sure we have 15 feet laterally away from the toe slope and ensure that we have safe excavation that way. So the important things to remember is that there's no benching allowed in these kinds of soils. So some guys are like, well, we're going to go ahead and classify it as a C, but then they'll go ahead and bench like the top or the bottom layer, and they'll have to remind the guys, no, you can't bench those areas. It's not allowed in a type C soil. If you're going to have any verticals, you have to have some sort of other protection measure in there, like that picture on the bottom that shows that support or shield system, like a trench box or some sort of shoring. So the one thing that we want to be able to emphasize here is if you do put if you do excavate your soils and assume everything is a type C soil, then testing technically is not required. So you can basically put that on your daily trenching and excavation permit or your job hazard analysis or whatever your form is that you're using on a daily basis. Your competent person can basically add that in there that says we are classifying this as a C soil, which is the most conservative method, and then you'll be protected from that. Now, the other thing to remember is if you're using trench boxes or shoring systems, that you also have to make sure you follow the type C requirements for that tab data. So there's going to be some additional requirements. You're going to see that the soil depth that thing's rated for is going to be a lot less in a type C soil. So if your program says that you're classifying it all as a type C, you do have to follow all of the rules, including the tabulated data that comes with those shield systems. So even if the shield system says it can go deeper in like a B or an A soil, if your program says that you're classifying everything as a C, then you really can't follow the tab data on those sections. You have to actually be more conservative and maybe get a different box if you're going to go deeper. Make sure that it really reads as that requirement there in type C. All right, number 2 on our list is to use a protective system even if your excavation is less than 5 feet deep. So that's kind of hard for some people to wrap their brains around, because a lot of us kind of look at that 5-foot zone as really our depth that we can go vertically and not have to worry about any sort of protective measure. Well, really, this is a picture here of a cave-in in North Carolina, and really that trench was only 5 feet deep, and he was buried in there. Fortunately, they were able to rescue him and pull him to safety. But again, that's something to think about, is that it's still very dangerous. That soil is very heavy still, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to at least lay it back or provide some sort of protective measure for those excavations. Even if it's less than 5 feet deep, it can still collapse and hurt somebody. The other example we like to tell is a lot of times it could be irrigation lines, or it could be something where you're kneeling down to put this pipe together. And really, when it's around that 4 or 5 foot area and you're kneeling down, now a lot of your body is down underneath that excavation. And we saw an injury years ago where a guy was kneeling down and a chunk of dirt actually came off and landed on his leg and twisted his knee and caused a very significant injury. He was able to survive that, thankfully, but you can see how dangerous it can still be. That dirt is very heavy, 110, 150 pounds per cubic foot. And when you multiply that out, it could be as much as a vehicle that could land on you on a per cubic yard basis. So it's important to protect people. And if your goal as an employer is to protect your people, you might look at this as a possible plan to start using some sort of protective measure, even if it's less than 5 feet deep. So the other concept here is, are we trying to be safe, or are we just trying to be compliant with OSHA? Because really, OSHA law is our minimum requirement, and that's something we want to try to remember, that we want to be putting our employees in the safest positions possible and prevent anybody from getting hurt, and especially prevent anybody from getting killed. So looking at these opportunities to maybe go a little bit above and beyond the standard could be something that you might want to do as an organization. So worth a conversation with your top leaders and just see, is this something we want to talk about? Maybe you go at 4 feet deep, you say everything 4 feet or deeper, we're going to do something. And I've heard of companies doing that, and that's an option. Again, not required, but you do have to follow that. If you do change your policy and it's more strict than OSHA, you do have to follow that, because if OSHA comes out and visits your site and they look at your program and you're 4 feet and don't have some sort of protective measure, you can actually be cited for your own program not being followed, which is more strict than OSHA. Something to think about. All right, number 3 on our list is to build a dirt ramp for access and egress. And really, this picture here helps explain a little bit about what these different angles might be used for egress. So ladders are definitely the most common in excavations. You can see up to a 90-degree vertical level, we can have a ladder, and then going down to about 60 degrees is really the maximum we really want to have on our ladders. However, we see these ladders sometimes laying on slopes, and these slopes are going to be, if you really are doing your excavations properly and having a 1.5 to 1 slope, they're going to be at a 34-degree angle, which is a 1.5 to 1 slope. So you can see where the ladder laying on that slope is probably not your best bet. It's probably not your best option, because you'd really want to have either some stairs or maybe start looking at ramps as an option. So it's something to think about as far as a best practice, is start looking at some sort of ramp, because you can carry tools, you can carry materials, you can be able to get up and down that slope a lot easier than you would a ladder. And really, there's a lot of companies nowadays that are going with this ladder last concept and trying to find ways to get in and out of our work areas without having to use a ladder, because ladders are so dangerous. One wrong move and you're falling off that device and onto the ground. We will say that this whole ramp idea is really best for these shallow excavations, something like a waterline excavation, because really once you get deeper, it starts to become a little bit more challenging to create ramps. So really 4, 5, 6 feet deep, you can start to really ramp yourself in and out, and kind of use even like a goat trail type of a system to get in and out safely. Yeah, you know, we try to encourage our guys to really use the bucket and go at the same angle as their trench, and just kind of make it just a little bit wider in there to where they're able to use that as a ramp. So that's an option. Again, a best practice. Try to figure out these opportunities to make your job site safer, and ladders are definitely one of those that we want to try to look at. And here's a bonus tip for you. Looking at these stairs, there's different vendors out there that might have stairs that look similar to this that you might be able to utilize. So, look on the internet. There's a lot of options out there, companies that are willing to help you out, especially for those long-term excavations. If you're going to be going in and out of this excavation for weeks on end, it would make sense to start looking at ways to make your excavation just a little bit safer, and secure something there that they can walk up and down and not be climbing up and down. So again, just an option, just something to look at as an opportunity to make your job site a little bit safer. All right, moving into number 4 is a ladder platform. So this is one of those where some companies just use a ladder, they place it right in their box, and they call it good. Well, some companies are looking at this as an opportunity to maybe, okay, how can we make this egress, this access point, a little bit safer? So this particular situation allows for easier ladder securement. So you don't want that ladder to move while an employee is climbing up and down. So you want to make sure that thing's really sturdy, holding in place. Some guys will use ropes or chains or something to secure that ladder. Well, this ladder platform, the example we can see here, is attached to the box. It's clamped on there. It's not moving. The ladder actually hangs from a little ladder hanger portion there, and it keeps it from moving while the guys are climbing. And then there's those grab bars that are up on the platform there. They extend that 3 feet above the landing, because the requirement is to have the ladder up 3 foot. But in this case, you can actually use these grab bars, and they're actually, just as safe, actually safer, because you're kind of walking through that platform and grabbing onto those grab bars as you go in and out, and it should be a lot better for the egress. And then the other important thing about these platforms that attach to the box is you can actually have one of those catwalks, or some guys just call it a walkway. But this way to be able to bridge over some of those large voids that are outside the box, you're able to bridge over that and then enter and exit safely in and out of that box. So just an option there. There's companies around town that have those. We've utilized a couple in town to purchase units for ourselves, and it's been fantastic. They make them in different lengths. You can get them in 10 foot, 12 foot, 20 foot lengths, and be able to have good, safe access and egress in and out of your box. Highly recommended. All right, the next one, number 5 on our list, is to mass excavate before digging a trench. This is a great option if you've got a really deep trench and you need to try to reach that, because our excavators can only reach so far. So you might need to do a little bit of this mass excavation to be able to reach that. So you've got to ensure that the top of slope is far enough back. So that's the one thing as safety professionals, we need to be doing a little bit of math and really make sure that we don't have too much dirt near our excavation. You can see in the picture there, you can see that they've got a very large bench that was generated where their catwalk basically goes to the trench box, but then they've got a ladder laying on the slope, and it's going up to the top there. So you can see that that's a pretty wide base. So we're not just moving a little bit of dirt, we're moving a massive amount of dirt so that we have really that extra dirt weight is not causing an issue with the bottom trench boxes that are in place there. The other important thing is that the trench boxes need to be rated for the full depth of the excavation. That's the entire mass excavation plus that trench depth. So the entire excavation depth, those need to be rated for that. So something to consider. Now, if you really move a lot more dirt up off of the surface and really get that well far away, the 1.5 to 1 slope, or if you have an engineer look at it and have them help you, then you might be able to make some adjustments in the engineering, but just make sure, at least in the initial planning of the project, that you have trench boxes ready for that full depth. And then you can see the access egress challenges. So just getting it out in and out of the trenches can be challenging when you're talking about these mass excavations. All right, number 6 on our list is let's utilize some trenchless methods if possible, right? The little shameless plug here. I mean, that's part of what we do at Be Trenchless, right? We're able to do this kind of work, again, because we want to try to bore under those dangerous utilities and not have to open cut through those and try to support those somehow. We're able to, again, utilize these methods that actually can go underneath them and get through those areas safely and prevent having to even deal with some of those dangerous utilities. And also those unsuitable soils. We're getting ready to start a project that has a ton of groundwater and a lot of soils that would be really, really difficult to dig through from a trench from the surface. So why not just dig a bore pit and then just go ahead and push through that without having to dig open cut and cap style. And then we can also install utilities without disturbing the public traffic. So, a lot of times you've got those situations where you're trying to dig through, a road or a street, but through a highway, not very easy to deal with, of course. So why not just bore across that and not have to deal with the public? All right, fencing. Another important best practice to think about, just from an insurance perspective. There's a lot of reasons why you want to have really good protection of your job site, mainly at the end of the job, but even while the work is going on, you might want to have some way to keep the public out of your work area. So you want to secure that site. You want to make sure that nobody gets in. So especially before leaving the day, we want to keep the public out. A really good best practice is let's use the chain link fencing if you can, as opposed to the orange fencing. Orange works great. It can be at least a deterrent, but the chain link is just much more secure and can be a much better option for your project. And then another option here is to place weights on the feet where practical, because those feet can be tripping hazards for the public. So maybe in areas where you've got a lot of foot traffic, a lot of people walking that are maybe from the public, maybe they're out on a sidewalk near a mall, you want to make sure they're not going to get hurt either. So look out for the public, look out for those other people that might be near your project. And again, for insurance purposes, why not? It's not that expensive, and it can actually benefit you. And it can work really well to weigh down those feet as well and help prevent any of those from falling over. All right, let's transition to number 8 here, inspecting and repairing our trench boxes. The important thing to remember with this is that the repairs need to be performed by a certified welder. So that's an important concept, because those welds need to be basically the way that the original design of those boxes was put together. So you got to rebuild them back to that original condition. And you got to have that professional engineer approve those repairs or recertify the tab data, especially if you've made any adjustments. Maybe you've moved a pocket, right? Maybe that pocket's not exactly how the original design was. Well, you're going to have to pay an engineer to redo the tabulated data. If you put it all back to the original condition from the original tabulated data, then you can just use that certified welder and put it back to that original condition, and you should be good to go. But yeah, some things to remember there. And then also looking at the deflections. So if there's any major deflections to that, then really those need to be taken out of service. Best practice here is 1 inch over 10 feet. So just general concept. Every manufacturer has a little bit different requirements for their boxes, but if you have any deflection, anything more than 1 inch over 10 feet, you may need to have that looked at and repaired, because that could be dangerous enough. I would say most of our boxes look like that, so we would need to do what we can to get those back in its original condition. All right, number 9, fall protection. So it really, fall protection is something that a lot of us in the subpart P realm, in the excavation realm, we know that is excluded from the standard, and we don't typically need to worry about fall protection. However, if you have any long-term excavations, things like pits, things are installed for a period of time, then really it makes sense to start putting some fall protection up. And even on your excavation, an open cut scenario, if you think that it's dangerous and you don't want somebody falling into that excavation, then why not put up something to protect your employees from falling? Falling is the leading cause of death in construction. So we ought to be doing something to help protect our employees. And this is a best practice, again, not required in a lot of instances, but something to think about. So what we do on our pits is we actually leave our outside grade down by 42 inches to allow the box itself to act as our guardrail, which works really well. So definitely something that we would encourage if you need to do something similar to what's shown in the picture there. Remember to have that access egress up into the box. So there's a 19-inch rule, which is in a totally different standard. I believe it's in the walking working surfaces standard. Really, you don't want to have more than a 19-inch step up. So what we did here is we put a ladder made out of 2x4s to basically get up to that ladder platform, like the one you saw in an earlier picture there. And you can see the ladders hanging on that platform and attached there. And so you want to make sure that getting in and out of your box is safe, and that's not only getting down into your trench, but also getting down and out of your trench. So just something to think about, and when you're doing your planning for your excavation. And then climbing ladders can be something that can be very dangerous. So we talked about ladders a little bit, and how some companies think ladder last, but really it's not practical in a lot of situations to not use ladder. You have to use a ladder. So some companies use a personal fall arrest system for those longer ladders. So something to think about. You can see the self-retracting lanyard attached to that individual's harness there as he's going to be climbing up and out of that dangerous situation. So something to think about there. And you can see the davit arm that we've installed up on the surface. So we call it a swing arm, but this one's welded onto the box, and it's got the SRL attached to that, and it hangs right over top of the ladder, so that as they're climbing, that will swing over them and center that SRL over their body. So if they do fall, that self-retracting lanyard will stop them immediately and keep them from falling all the way to the bottom. Side note, little funny joke that I like to tell our guys is the fall doesn't kill you, it's a sudden stop at the end. So we want to prevent the sudden stop at the end. We want to stop them suddenly up above somehow before they get all the way to the bottom. All right, tabulated data. So we talked about this just a minute ago, but let's dive into our tabulated data, maybe some best practices on this that maybe you hadn't thought of. So what we've done is we've created a tab data binder, something that we put together for all of our tabulated data, everything that we own, the things that we can that we know we have on hand, we'll create a binder, something that has all of them all in one place, so it's easy to find them. We've also put that into our new electronic system, so we've got it readily available on site. But just an idea to make sure that every crew has this available at all times. And always important to ask for this information from the rental company. So if you're using a rental trench box or trench system, that you make sure to ask for that tabulated data, and you got to keep that with that box while it's on site, and then follow the requirements. So it's so important to make sure that we are following what the maximum depth is on those. We talked about that briefly earlier, that you want to make sure that you're following those requirements, because if there is a situation that comes up, some sort of incident that occurs, if you're deeper than what that tabulated data says, then that's a big no-no. So make sure we're following those rules on what it actually says on the tabulated data, as well as the spreader length. If those spreaders are too long and the box ends up getting destroyed because of that, and that incident occurs, they're going to start doing some math and figuring out that we installed that incorrectly, and could be something you could be liable for. And then the soil type, we talked about that with this type C soil, to make sure to follow the requirements on that tabulated data for the soil type. So all of that really is very important. So have those discussions in your pre-planning meetings before starting the project, and really just make sure that you're setting your guys up for success, so that when they get out there, they're able to install those safely and take care of the people. The other last thing I want to mention on trench boxes is make sure your guys know how to install them properly. And this is not just installing them in the ground, but putting them together and taking them apart. You want to make sure that as you put those together, lay the box down so that the pockets are facing up, and then they can put the spreaders right on the pockets, all 4 of those. And then you can basically take that other shield and put it on top and be able to slide those pockets onto that. There's other ways to do that as well. Like if it's really long spreaders, you could be able to turn over those with pockets installed and actually put them onto the box that's laying on the ground. So there's a couple different methods there, but I would encourage you to make sure that your guys are installing those the proper way, because it could be very easy for somebody to get hurt, because they're very heavy, very dangerous, especially those very heavy steel spreader pipes can hurt somebody pretty bad. So all right, that's really the list of best practices that we have, and there's the link to our website again if you guys want to grab that QR code and check out our thinkinsidethebox.info website. I encourage you to do that if you haven't already. And at this point, Mike, I will leave it up to any questions that we have. Scott, anything else that you guys wanted to address here? That's all that I had.
Yeah, Perry, I have a question here from David in the chat. Will the slides be available after the presentation? I know the presentation itself will be available on our YouTube channel, but I don't know about the slide deck.
Yeah, I can make those available. I can put those in a PDF format. It's a very large set, so but I could definitely get this into a PDF file. I'll get it over to you, Mike, and if you want to distribute that, that's absolutely something that'd be fine. Yeah.
Okay, that'd be great. Well, thank you again, and everyone, thank you for attending. Levi from our team is going to drop a survey in the chat, so if you could fill that out. Otherwise, thank everyone for attending, and we hope to see you at future ESA member special events. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.